Okay, so let's take a look at how you can connect MySQL database in Navicat DB admin tool. So I have MySQL through Laragon Lite. So I'm going to start the server, and here you can see MySQL on port 330X. So let's open Navicat, and here you see I have option to add new connection from file new MySQL, or I can use connection MySQL. So let's click on that. Then here let's add MySQL DB1. Okay, here you can see host is localhost, port is 3306, username root, and there is no password. Okay, so let's test the connection. Connection successful. Click on OK. Now here I can click on open connection, and it should show me list of available databases here. As you can see, there is one help folder database which is used for WordPress. All the WordPress related tables are listed here. Okay, so you learned how to connect to MySQL database from Navicat. Okay, so let's take a look at how you can create a new database in MySQL using Navicat. So I have Laragon installed, from which I am running the MySQL instance. Now let's open Navicat, and now let's connect to our connection. Okay, as we connect, we will find the list of already installed databases. Okay, now here I wish to create new one. So right click on your connection and click on new database. Now here we have to name our database, so let's name it MyDemoDB. Okay, and choose character set. Simply go with UTF-8. Collation, if you don't know about collation, usually UTF-CI is used. Okay, so here you see UTF Unicode CI. Okay, so once you do that, click on OK. Now to check whether your database is created, right click and then refresh. Okay, once you refresh, you will find it here. Okay, so if you are not seeing it here, that means you just have to sometimes close connection, then reconnect and refresh. Okay, so you get the idea how to create new database in MySQL using Navicat. Okay, so let's take a look at how you can delete database from MySQL and using Navicat admin tool. So what we'll do is make sure that our MySQL server is running. Next would be opening Navicat and make sure to establish your connection. Okay, now once the connection is established, what you can do is choose the database that you wish to delete. Then right click on it, then click on delete database. Now it will ask you for confirmation whether you wish to delete the database or not. Okay, if you click on delete, then immediately it will be dropped from your MySQL database. Okay, and you don't even have to refresh, but sometimes it may require you to refresh, so right click on connection, then refresh. Okay, and sometimes if still it appears, simply close the connection, then connect again and refresh. That should also show you the update or the commit that is made for deletion of database. Okay, so let's take a look at how you can import CSV file into your MySQL database and populate that database. Okay, so first thing, make sure that you have MySQL server running, and then open Navicat, and here I'm going to create a new database. Okay, let's name this contact. Okay, right, so let me have it in lowercase all, and then I will not set character set or collation, so let's click on OK. Now here make sure to choose contact database and then right click on it. Okay, now if we open this database and if we want to import something, we can use execute SQL, or if we choose table, then we can use import wizard. Okay, now let's make sure to click on import wizard. Here we have to choose CSV file, then click on next. Let's see if I choose database such as Salesforce exported one. So I have Salesforce CSV file for total 10 results. Okay, so I'm going to use that database CSV data. Click next. Use delimited. Click next again. Okay, first field would be our header, second being our first data. Okay, click next, and source table should be our new table checked. Target table, let's rename that into, let's say, users. Okay, so source table, as you can see, is basically name of the file, but target one, I want to make sure that it is short name and not entire file name. So click next, and this is your list of fields: source field, target field, and its respective characters. So here in target, you can make sure to choose ID as integer and primary key, so that when new data is added, ID will be auto incremented. So we can also set the length, okay, or we can let it choose by primary key. So click next. You can choose append or update to the destination table. Click start. Okay, and it will tell you all the records were successfully added and finished. So close this and then double click on your table, then users, and here you see your data is now added into users table. Okay, so let's take a look at how you can import Chinook database into your MySQL database. Okay, so for that we will use Navicat. So let me first establish the connection. Okay, after that I will be able to see the available databases. Now let me create one new database. Okay, let's name this Chinook. Okay, and click on OK. Now here I have to import SQL file. Okay, so for that what I will do is I will select my connection and then execute SQL file. Okay, note that I have selected connection instead of this Chinook database. Okay, now here I have to basically point to that Chinook MySQL file. Okay, this is SQL file, and here you can notice that I haven't selected any database. Okay, now what I will do is I will click on start. Okay, as you can see there are no errors and all queries processed properly, and it has managed to successfully import the database. Now we can close this, and if you click on your database, double click on it, you will find list of tables within this table section. All of these are from Chinook database. So you get the idea how you can use Chinook database to be imported through execute SQL command. Okay, and that is possible when you click on your MySQL connection and run execute SQL file. Okay, note that you are not supposed to run this on database directly, but instead your connection. Just make sure that you have database with that name Chinook in your MySQL database. Okay, you can download the Chinook from this Chinook database section of one of the repository out there. Okay, here you can see, if you check on GitHub, search for Chinook database, you will come across this repository. Okay, so you get the idea how to import Chinook database into your MySQL database using SQL file. Okay, so let's take a look at how you can export MySQL database table to CSV file format. So what I will do is, I will make sure that my MySQL server is running, and then log into this Navicat. Okay, and open connection, and here you see list of available databases, out of which let's choose one table from this Chinook database, and let's see if I have like customers table. Okay, and here you can see there are multiple fields in here, so let's export this to CSV format. So let me close the view and choose customer. Okay, from this left hand sidebar, and right click on that, and here we can use export wizard. Now here I will choose CSV file, and then we can select that particular source database table. Okay, next would be to choose the fields that you want. Okay, and then click next, then again next. Okay, and here I have to push on start, and notice that it has exported that file to customer.csv file. Okay, so let me close this and open the file. If I double click on that file, it should open it in Microsoft Excel. Okay, as you can see, I have managed to extract the table data into CSV file with the respective field names and its corresponding data. So you get the idea how to export your MySQL database table data into CSV file using Navicat. Okay, so let's take a look at how you can export MySQL database table to JSON file. So to do that, make sure that your MySQL server is running. Next would be to open Navicat, and here let me reconnect with MySQL database, and then go to database name Chinook, where you can see tables, and here I have employee table. Okay, and I wish to show you the data in it. Okay, so only 8 files, so let's go with this table which is a bit bigger. So let's go to invoice. So invoice is pretty much big, so what we can do is we can select that table name invoice, then right click on it, and then export wizard. Now here I have to choose a JSON file from this available set of options, JSON file .json. Click next. Okay, make sure that your source is selected. Okay, and destination you can change to some other name, and also change the directory. Click next, and then after clicking on next, you will be able to either append or continue with the existing selection with delimiters. Okay, there is also continue on error option that you see here. You can enable or disable this, but it is better to continue on error. Okay, also make sure that append is deselected. Okay, then click on start. Okay, now click close. Okay, now let's take a look at desktop. Here you see invoice.json. Now here what we will do is we will try to open this in, let's say, Editpad Pro, and here you see all the records exported in JSON format. Okay, now you can use this to upload to any other NoSQL database, or you can use it any way you please. Okay, so you get the idea how to export MySQL database table data into JSON format. Okay, so let's take a look at how you can create a new table in MySQL database using Navicat. So let me open Navicat, and here let me refresh by reconnecting. Okay, now here you can see I have one database where I have all these WordPress specific tables. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into another database where I have this users table. Okay, I also want to add one more table. Okay, so there are two ways to create table. First being you select this table section, create new table from here, or you can simply click on this create new table field. Okay, now here we will add ID, then we will make it primary key, then let's add something like name varchar. As you can see, the moment it sees name, it auto adds the type. Okay, so let's say I add SSN, which is also varchar. You can add not null to both these fields, and that's fine too. Okay, and then we add city field varchar, make it not null as well, and state. Okay, that's pretty much all I want within my table. And now let's save this as, let's see, profile. Okay, so this is profile data, so that's created within our tables list. Okay, now I can close this and double click on profile, and as you can see here all these fields that we just created. So you get the idea how to use Navicat to create new table in database. Okay, so let's take a look at how you can insert data into your MySQL database table using Navicat. So what we'll do is we will log into Navicat, establish connection with MySQL, then choose the database that we wish to use for inserting data. So let's say I have this profile table which is empty and I wish to add data to it. So I will simply open it in preview mode, and here I can add the data. So first being ID, let's name this second, let's go with let's name this another city, let's say, okay, can have it as small abbreviation or simply full name. Okay, now there is another row to fill, so let's go with that. Okay, so let's one more person from Texas. Okay, then third ID. Okay, let's see, okay, now another person from Dallas, Texas, and to commit the result simply use Ctrl S. Okay, so you get the idea how to insert your data into MySQL database table. Okay, so let's take a look at how you can delete an entry from MySQL database table using Navicat. So here, as you can see, I already have MySQL server running. Then now I will open Navicat and open connection with database. Okay, here we are not going to use any SQL query. Instead, we will use the GUI tool to remove a particular entry. Okay, so you go to contact database that I have right now, then move to table where you can see I have this entry at the last that I wish to delete. Okay, so what I can do is I can use delete record. Okay, set to null, set to empty string. Okay, if we try to set it to null, we may get into issues because some of the fields may not allow us to have null values. Okay, so what we can do is we can delete a record. So simply select that entire record and click delete record, and then choose delete record, and here you see only 3 entries will remain because here we don't allow nulls in that particular column. So entire record will be deleted if we select that entire record and right click to delete it. Okay, so you get the idea how to delete a particular record from MySQL database table using Navicat. Okay, so let's take a look at how to execute SQL queries in Navicat for our MySQL database. Okay, so make sure to log into your Navicat and then make sure to open connection, and here I want to say use this Chinook database, and there are plenty of tables here to choose from, so we'll go with, let's say, invoice. Okay, now click on this query tab and then let's make a new query. Now let's see if I select all the rows from, let's say, invoice table, and if I run this query, here you can see it will return me with all the rows it has. Okay, so apart from that, I can also run other queries like insert into or delete or even update. Okay, so in order to run the queries, you use this query editor here. Okay, in tab you can see. Similarly, you can also use query builder. Okay, apart from query editor, you have other options such as export result as well. Okay, and then there are code snippets that you can use. Okay, so you get the idea how to use SQL query in Navicat using query editor.